Talking about, how did we get in this banking mess? What happened? Bill Seidman, the guy who, when he was, when we first cut these clips up, he was still alive. We tried to get him on the program, but my recollection is we were not able to, that he was not doing media, but he died shortly after this speech, actually. And it's Seidman, and I was pronouncing it Seidman, but somebody from Grand Rapids who knew him called and corrected me and said it's pronounced Seidman, even though it looks like Seidman. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that person was wrong. But in any case, here's SEID. Here is Bill talking about what happened during the financial crisis. Here's another clip from one of his speeches.
It was proposed that their regulation, or at least disclosure, be required. And the industry fought it, and the Federal Reserve, under Alan Greenspan, vehemently opposed. And they made the argument, which you hear all the time, and I can remember Alan saying,
Alan the Libertarian,
look, these are sophisticated contracts between knowledgeable buyers and knowledgeable sellers. No regulator can do as well as they'll do. So what do you need a regulator for? The market will regulate these. And he won the day. So among the list of our friends, along with me and others, Alan was clearly, I'd say, the key person responsible for the fact that we didn't even know how many of those contracts there were, and they were up in the trillions. So when AIG got in trouble, it turned out that they had one division with 400 people in it. They had 80,000 employees. They had 400 people in one division. They wrote all these contracts. They didn't report any of them. So they were, you'd say, gambling by writing these contracts. And when things started to go bad and they had to pay on these contracts, the whole monster, the largest insurance company in the world, went under.
And we bailed out AIG dollar for dollar. And why? Because AIG was the insurance company that was backstopping the banks that were doing the bad loans, and the biggest one of those banks that would have gone down if we didn't bail out AIG was Goldman Sachs. And Henry Paulson, who was our Treasury Secretary under the Bush administration at that time, was the former CEO of Goldman Sachs, and he was not going to let that happen. I mean, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Bill Seidman, he had a lot of wisdom. He had a lot to do. This is the Republican who ran the Resolution Trust Corporation, who cleaned up the S&L disaster, who nationalized the S&Ls, fired all the executives, put in their place banking regulators. All the members of the boards of directors, they all lost everything. Their stock became worth nothing. They were nationalized by Reagan. And then over the course of the next 2 decades, Bill Seidman sold them back into the private sector, re-regulated. And there's been no problem with the S&L since then.